Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I am Alicia if you are new here from Primarily Optimistic, and this is my first year teaching kindergarten. It's been a little bit since I've been on here. The last time that I was on here, you saw my classroom setup for this school year for kindergarten, and that was really fun to put together. During that time, I was still pregnant with this little one right here. So today is Monday, November 7th. I am home with the boys. Our oldest boy, Mason, who is tested positive for COVID this morning. So I am home. We decided to keep all the boys home. So that is that. Let's see here. On my Instagram, I posted about some of the pumpkin activities that we did in the classroom, and I wanted to share those activities with you here on YouTube. I said that I would try to get it posted for you. October went by really, really fast. I came back from maternity leave at the beginning of October, and it flew by. So recording those activities and stuff was quite the challenge. It was harder than I thought it would be. It was even harder to even get it posted because by the time I got home, I was super tired, or the baby was fussy, or I needed to do things to get ready for the next day or next week for school with data and testing. So I just didn't get a chance to upload all of the things. So it is now November 7th, and I'm hoping to get this up for you at least by this week, but it's teacher life. That's how it's going right now. It's very tiring. I'm exhausted, but I'm just living my best life. So the first thing that we did with pumpkins was, and I'll insert a couple clips so that you can kind of see and get the idea of what we did as well, but there are things that I wasn't able to take a video of, but that I'll still share here. So many of my students had never been to the pumpkin patch. They had never felt a pumpkin, and so I sent home a letter to all of my parents asking if they'd be willing to donate a pumpkin for our class to use and to investigate and examine. And so I had several parents bring in pumpkins and help out with that, which was I was so thankful for that. And the kids were so excited to see who brought in which pumpkin. So after sending home that letter and we got several pumpkins brought in, we started by just touching the pumpkin, seeing what it felt like. And so I started at the front of my class and the back row of my class, and the students each got like 5 seconds to hold the pumpkin, feel it, look at it, and before passing it on to the next. So I passed around a smooth pumpkin that was the traditional, and then I passed out a pumpkin that was more of a gourd. It had a funny shape. It was really bumpy, different colors, something that they wouldn't get a chance to normally see if they were to go to the store to look for a pumpkin. After we touched the pumpkins, we read a story called Pumpkin Pumpkin, and it kind of talked about a little boy or a little girl and how they planted a pumpkin with the seeds. So after reading that story, we talked about the life cycle, and I showed them pictures of the pumpkin and the life cycle. And then we made our anchor chart for investigating pumpkins. It looks like this here. We talked about what does the pumpkin look like on the inside. We measured how tall it was with cubes, and so we estimated about how many cubes it would take for it to be the height of the pumpkin. And then we counted the lines of the pumpkin to see how many lines or bumpy marks it had. The next day we read Stumpkin, and the students thought that book was so sweet and so cute how Stumpkin already had a home with the shopkeeper. Up or Stumpkin and carried him off. think he's gonna take it?
To his house.
Okay, I heard trash to his house.
Trash.
Stumpkin wouldn't be getting a window, and he wouldn't be getting a new home. He already had a home. And that made Stumpkin very, very happy. He still had the shop. He already had a home at the shop. And they were just like, oh my gosh, that's the cutest book. I think one student at the end even said, good job, shopkeeper, to make Stumpkin feel better. And so that was the sweetest book. And then afterwards, I had them color their own pumpkin. It was split apart so that I could take their picture of them with their hands up in the air for our bulletin board. So it looks like they're jumping out of a pumpkin. So while they were coloring their pumpkin, I called them over one at a time and I took their picture with their hands up. Then we, the next day we cut open the pumpkin and they got to feel on the inside of the pumpkin. They got to feel the seeds and the strand. And then we finished our anchor chart with how does the inside of the pumpkin feel. After we felt the inside of the pumpkin, we did a pumpkin seed craftivity. So they colored a pumpkin and then we took the seeds from the inside of the pumpkin, we washed them and dried them, and then they were able to glue those seeds onto their pumpkin. They used orange yarn in replacement of the strands of the pumpkins. So that's what that looks like here. They thought that was fun. They said that the seeds were very slippery at first before they had a chance to dry. So they were all giggling and laughing about that the seeds kept slipping out of their hands like so. It's okay. Let's see, what else did we do? We did how many pumpkins tall are you during our morning math, and so I called them over one by one and they were able to see who was the tallest in the class and how many pumpkins tall were they. They thought that was super fun to see which friend was the tallest and how many pumpkins tall were they. They just get so giddy when it's like their turn and it's something special and they see their name written on like a little sticky note and it's all about them. They love that. So that was super fun for them. And then during morning math, another day, we sorted the pumpkins. So we had a whole bunch of tiny pumpkins that were donated to us from the art room. The art teacher was using those pumpkins as a still life drawing for the upper grades. And so there was tons of smooth pumpkins, bumpy pumpkins, like different colored pumpkins. So it was another good opportunity for the students to see other types of pumpkins and varieties and colors. So I gave each of my students a little pumpkin and we sorted them by smooth and bumpy. We sorted them by size. And then we compared the quantities. So at that time during math, we were talking about who has more, how many more, being able to recognize numbers and the amount of objects in the group. So that tied in perfectly with that. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6. How many were there?
6.
6. Okay, Jaden, can you touch my bumpy? 1, 2, 3,
Yes,
4,
ma'am.
5, 6. What do we know about them?
It's a tie.
It's a we read another story like all about pumpkins, and it was a story that I had bought like in Teachers Pay Teachers. It gave them it was like a nonfiction story, so it gave them an opportunity to learn more about pumpkins since many of them had never been to the pumpkin patch. We also read the story, A Little Old Lady Who Wasn't Afraid of Anything. We read that story, and the students were able to create a story map from that story. That was really fun. We had never done anything like that. I picked out all the colors that they would need based off the story, and I gave each student a job of what they were going to create for our poster. And so I had 2 students work on the old lady. I had 2 students work on the glove. One had one hand, the other had the other. 2 students work on the shoes. One person work on the shirt. One person work on the pants. One person work on the pumpkin. One person work on the hat. I had a couple students work on the Christmas trees and the brown branch trees. One person work on the moon. And then I wrote the words boo boo and the little pathway for all of the characters in that story. And I also had added like the dead tree branches onto that story map, because when those students were giving me their trees, they looked like just trunks, or yeah, the trunk of the tree. And so I added that extra to help them with the detail. But other than that, that was all from them. Here is a picture of what it looked like in a close-up. I was really proud of them. They worked really hard on that. I gave them just about, it was about 10-15 minutes for them to complete that task. And they were all super excited to see it. So each time that they see the poster now, they will start kind of retelling the story. They'll say there was an old lady who wasn't afraid of anything, and she saw, one shirt go shake, shake, 2 gloves go clap, clap, 1 hat go nod, nod, 2 feet go stomp, stomp, and 1 pumpkin head go boo, boo. And so each time that they get to that boo, boo part, they think that that is so fun to say. So that was another fun activity that we did. Not necessarily pumpkin related, but it was fun and it fit the festive season. We also sang the poem Jack O Happy, and after teaching them the poem for Jack O Happy, it goes Jack O Happy, Jack O Sad, Jack O Sleepy, Jack O Mad. It talks about Jack being in tons of pieces and how best of all he is made into a pie. And so after teaching them that poem, they had like a little book for Jack O Happy, and they made the pumpkin for each page with the facial expressions. So here is an example of that. And we also did the song 5 Little Pumpkins, and that was perfect as a introduction to math, because we were still talking about numbers, and at that time we were talking about ordinal numbers. So it's okay, honey. When we talked about ordinal numbers, we sang the song 5 Little Pumpkins, and we did actions for that. So here's what the video looks like for this activity that we did in class. 5 little pumpkins sitting on a gate. The first one said, "Oh my, it's getting late." The second one said, "There are witches in the air." The third one said, "But we don't care." The fourth one said, "Let's run and run and run." The fifth one said, "We're ready for some fun." Then woo went the wind and out went the lights, and the 5 little pumpkins rolled out of sight. They thought that was super fun. They also wanted to try to do it without my help, and so they did a great job doing that as well. Then after we did that, they each got a little fence and 5 pumpkins, and they colored it, and then we sang the song together one more time and completed our pumpkins on the gate and made it into a little headband using Sinton strips. And so they thought that was really fun to walk around all day with pumpkins on their head. We read the story Room on the Broom, and we did a sequencing of that in order. That was also during the time for Halloween, so I put like the little witch's hat on. It looks like this. Here's a picture of me. And the kids thought that was hilarious for me to wear the witch's hat, and then we did the sequencing together. Firmly down on her head. "I am a dog as keen as can be. Is there room on the broom for a dog like me?" "Yes," cried the witch, and the dog clambered on. The witch tapped the broomstick, and whoosh, they were gone. Okay, so I think that is all the pumpkin activities that we were able to fit in. I really wanted to do the pumpkin volcanoes with them, but we just ran out of time and we weren't able to do it. But they still had a blast. I know that it is November 7th and Halloween and pumpkin season is almost quite over. Halloween is over, and most of the time we've moved on to turkeys and stuff for Thanksgiving. So I know this video isn't relevant now, but maybe it'll be relevant to you next year as October approaches again, and you'll find some new and fun activities that you can also do with your students. This is also just a documentation for me so that I remember what I did with my students, so I can go back and look to see, oh, what did they really love and what should I try again for the next year. Anyway, I hope that you found this video helpful, and I'll see you next time. Bye guys!